You know, I was always told to avoid back games because they're awfully nice when they work, but you get gammon so much that it's just so costly. Well, what do you think is the cube action right now? White's on roll. Score is 0-0 to 11, or 11 away, 11 away. Normal match score. What's the cube action now? If you were white, would you double? If you're red, would you take or drop? Well, red has a beautifully timed back game. Not perfect, but down 103 pips. You need about 100 pips to have really good timing in a back game like this. A 1-2, 1-3, and a 2-3 back games are all what we call the super back games, and about 100 pip timing would be ideal. And you got 103. That's pretty good. You're not likely to crash your board here. This is not even a double. It's hard to say who's going to win this game. It's true that red gets gammoned a lot, but there's no way in the world that white can be doubling here. Red's favored to win, even though red gets gammoned 31% of the time. At these scores, gammons is only worth half as much as a win. So these gammons are diminished in value to about half this number as far as how they compare with the importance of winning the game. It's called gammon value or gammon price. By the way, you can check this in Extreme Gammon. Analyze, cube information, and you can see the gammon value is just a little over 5. Even if the cube is turned to 2, it's slightly over 5, 5.2. So the gammon values are not that high, and your risk of gammons here, yes, they are pretty high, but what happens if you lose 2 points instead of 1 point at this score? It only affects your winning chances in the match by about 5%. If you lose 1 point here, your opponent is about a 54% favorite to win the match. And if you lose 2 points, he's about a 59% favorite to win the match. I'm a genius, aren't I, to know those numbers? I looked them up. I don't exactly know all those numbers by heart, but I know that was about right. But again, when you're curious, and if you look them up enough times, you get a feel for those numbers too. It's not a bad idea to know your match equity at all scores, but you go to Analyze, Match Equity Table, and here's the latest table that with millions and zillions of rollouts that was done by Neil Kazaros, and it shows that if he were to win 1 point, 11 away, 10 away, he has about 54.854%. If he wins 2 points, and it's 11 away, 9 away, if he wins a gammon with the cube unturned, his equity is close to 60%. So how bad is it to get gammoned here with the cube at 1? And you're not likely to have the cube at 2. If you do, your opponent's making quite a boo-boo, quite a blunder to give you the cube here. So let's roll this forward. Let's say that white gets a very good roll and doesn't leave a shot, brings in both checkers, and let's say that red also gets a reasonable roll and rolls a 6 and keeps his timing, keeps his board. He's still down 100 pips. Should white double now? Would you double now? If you were red, would you take or drop? Do you think the equity swung that much to where white would have a double? No way. Not even close. Again, a real blunder to double. And again, this game is pretty close to 50-50. And yes, red is getting gammoned a bunch if things go wrong. But again, he wins so much that it's nowhere near a double. Let's roll this forward some more. Let's say that white gets really, really good rolls, doesn't leave a shot or doesn't get hit, ends up, let's give him a checker off. Let's move this forward because it's likely that red would have been moved forward some too. He's still got good timing. He's still down over 100 pips. Now, what would you do with the cube here? Again, is red going to get gammoned too much with the cube at 2? It's a double and a pass. Red doesn't get gammoned when he passes. If things went really, really well for white, and he never left a shot, then he finally has a double, so red gives away 1 point. Don't be foolish and take this cube. Don't let your ego get the best of you. It isn't worth it to get gammoned 42% of the time, and you'll never, ever gammon white here. Show me a scenario where white leaves a shot without getting a checker off. It doesn't happen. It's pretty hard. The only way you can leave a shot on the next roll here is to roll what? Double fives comes from here. Double fours comes from here. Double threes comes from here. There's nothing that leaves a shot. Now he could be in a position that could leave a shot. For example, put a checker here, and now double threes would leave a shot with nothing off. So here is a situation where white could get gammon, but white has to roll double three, and red has to hit and then win a gammon, which is not going to be that easy to do, but it could happen. But there's just no reason for red to take this cube. So what will your gammon risk if you have a well-timed game? You're not going to see the cube until it's too late. White has to wait until he loses his market to give the cube. And sometimes, if he waits too long, then he becomes too good to double, but he still only wins 2 points if he gets lucky and wins the gammon instead of 1. So this idea that back games get you gammon too much, you stay out of them, is not always true at all, if you can time the back game. The real danger is if it's not very well timed. If it's not very well timed, then you will see the cube. Then you will get doubled. Let's give red a 1-2 back game with not good timing. If your board's crashed, if you have the ace point made, if you have nowhere near that 100 pips that you need of timing, this is a board that doesn't, let's make it really bad. This is a board that's not going to scare white here. Is white, are you going to get gammon too much? Yeah, you are. You're going to get gammoned a bunch. You're not going to win very much, but you're still only going to see the cube, a 1 cube here. You're not going to see the cube at 2. You're not going to lose 4 points. Things go wrong, you lose 2 points. And you still win this game 17% of the time. That's not a lot, but that'll mitigate quite a few of these gammons. If winning the game is twice as good as gammons, these 17 wins is equal to 34 gammons. This is almost a wash between the two. So don't be so afraid of back games if you can time them. And by the way, the real lesson here is if you get into a back game, make sure you time it. And if you're defending a back game, your whole goal is to make sure he doesn't time it. There's all kinds of playing strategies, a lot of counterintuitive plays relative to leaving shots and relative to whether or not you hit your opponent. So you have to play these games out and practice and see at what point it's right to double. Someplace much earlier, white probably should have doubled before he got to this position, if he could have. Thanks for watching. Hope this was illuminating. Hope this shows you why I love extreme gammon. These answers that I get by hitting these buttons are extremely accurate. That's why this is so extremely good. And in the past we used snowy, we used jellyfish, and we didn't get our answers so fast, and they weren't as good. They weren't as accurate. We couldn't trust them. We'd have to do long rollouts, and even those weren't as accurate. So this is a good commercial for Extreme Gammon, www.extremegammon.com. And when you go to the site, if you buy it, there's a drop-down screen that says, where did you hear about it? And it says from a friend off the internet or from Phil Simborg. My name's there because I've helped market, and I've helped in some of the development of the software. In a small part, Xavier is really the developer, but I'm proud to have been involved in getting it on the market and convincing people to buy it and convincing Xavier to design it. And as a result, I get a small royalty by getting people to go to a site. So I'm being honest with you, I make $5 if you do this, but I work for it because I will help you. You send me an email after you buy it, and I'll give you a short free tutorial to save you a lot of time to learn how to use this software. And you can reach me through the USBGF. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening to this ad. Bye-bye.